Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of John's Gospel in Greek, and we're up to chapter 4 verse 31. Ento metaxu. We have to understand chrono or here or some such word. It's in the time between, and so generally this is idiomatic for meanwhile. So in the between time. So meanwhile, the disciples were asking him legontes, saying, this is from the verb erotao, which is a common contract verb. Erotao, it's a contract alpha verb, and this is the imperfect, so that augments. You get an alpha plus an on, and the alpha and omicron contract to give you an omega here. So it's a slightly tricky one if you haven't seen this one before, from erotao, to ask. Meanwhile, his disciples were asking him legontes, saying, Rabbi, teacher, and we've seen that's the phrase that's often used in John, phage, eat. This is the aorist imperative from estheo. Estheo, the aorist is ephagon. Take away the augment, you get phag as the root, and then it's a strong aorist imperative, so you add an epsilon for the imperative. So, Rabbi, eat, and he said to them, a very cryptic sentence, I have brosin. This is a third declension noun. It's brosis, it's feminine. It's one of those abstract third declension nouns ending with an iota in the root, in the stem I should say. So I have food, phagain, there's the infinitive from that same root we saw here, to eat. Relative pronoun hein, because as I said brosin is feminine, which you do not know, which you lot, it's you plural, do not know, from oida. The disciples, therefore, were saying to one another, and we get a may with a question, that means expecting the answer no. So surely someone has not brought, this is from pharaoh, it's einenkon is the aorist, it's one of those irregular verbs that you have to learn carefully. So surely someone has not brought, understand brosis from up here, food for him to eat. You have to understand tit something or brosin or something here. Jesus says to them, historic present, we get a different word for food. It's from the same root. This was brosin. This is now broma. Again, it's a third declension noun. Greek generally, and New Testament Greek as well, often likes to have variatio, that is, variation of words. So there's no distinction, you can't make any distinction between these two. There's just doing it because there are two words that are etymologically connected, and they just, for variation's sake, they use both of them. So my food is, now this is this funny use of hina. So we translate this as that. So my food is that, with subjunctive. This is a subjunctive here after hina, that I do, to thelema, the will to pempsantos, genitive aorist, genitive participle from pempo, the will of the one having sent me, kai tel ose, and again it's subjunctive from teleoo after hina, and that I might fulfill, or perhaps I fulfill, his work. Now we get another question here, and it's beginning with ook this time, so this is expecting the answer yes. So it's something you could paraphrase it slightly and say surely. So surely you lot say that it is tetramenos, tetra for, man is month, this is an adjective here, it is the fourth month, and ho therismos erkatai, and the harvest is coming, or perhaps even the summer is coming, the time of harvest is coming, the therismos. Behold, I say to you, ep arate. Now that is from ep plus iro. Now iro is to raise, and this is to look upon, or perhaps, well, raise up really. And this is the aorist imperative, weak aorist imperative. So raise up your eyes, and theasaste, another aorist middle imperative, and look at the lands, hoti, that they are leukai. Now leukai literally means white. We get leukocytes, the white blood cells. So they are white, but it probably means here, well, it's white for the harvest. So we might say they are ready for harvest. So they're flush for the harvest, perhaps to try and get the sense of leukai there. Literally, they are white. In other words, all the wheat is clear there, and it's looking stunningly white. Now, Ade is in this verse, but it really probably is connected with this one. Some editors take it back remove the full stop and take it back so it is already ripe for harvest. So there is moss for the harvest, or you can take it with the next. Have a look at the commentaries on that to see the different alternatives. Taking it as we've got it here, the therisdon, this is a participle from therisdo, the one harvesting, the one who is harvesting. Lambane takes Ade already his pay, his misthos, his reward, his pay. So the one doing the harvest has already taken his pay, and he gathers fruit for eternal life, for life eternal. In order that hosperon, another participle here from spero, present participle, the one sowing, kai ho therisdon, and the one reaping, kaire, might rejoice, subjunctive after hina, homu, together. For in this the word is true. In other words, in this situation the story is true, that, and now we get a quote, inverted commas essentially here, they put a capital, and we get allos, allos. So one is the one sowing and another is the one reaping. So we paraphrase and say one does the sowing and another does the reaping. Ego apostela, from apostello, this is the aorist, so you get a vowel gradation in the middle and you lose one of the lambdas because it's a liquid verb. This is the aorist. I sent you, lot, therisdane, to harvest. Ho, relative pronoun, you have to understand some antecedent. That which, uk hemas, you have not laboured at. This is from kopiao is the verb. This is the perfect form. This is the second person plural perfect, from kopiao, to labour. Kopos is a hard labour or work or task. So this is the verb here. So I sent you to harvest that which you did not labour at. Others, kekopiakasin. Now this is a pluperfect, as you can tell by the ending here, but there's no, it's reduplicated, but there's no augment. In classical Greek and in New Testament Greek mostly, you get in the pluperfect you get a reduplication plus the augment, but you don't always. We're not getting one here, even though it is pluperfect. So others had laboured, and you, eis eleuthate, this is the perfect from erchomai, and you have come into their labour. So you have entered into their labour. Very Johannine. Ektetes polios ekenes, from that city many of the Samaritans believed in him. Now remember, the earlier part of this chapter was about the woman of Samaria. This little bit is like an insert that we had above, 31 to 38, and now it comes back to and finishes off the story of the Samaritans. So many of the Samaritans believed in him, diaton logon, on account of, or because of, the account, literally the word, the account of the woman who was bearing witness, that's a feminine participle agreeing with gunaikos, that, inverted commas, remember she said to them, he said to me all things which I did. So he told me everything I had done. Hos un, when therefore the Samaritans came to him, erotone, there's that word again, erotao, they began to ask him, this is imperfect. When you've got imperfect, it's often inceptive. They began to do something, sometimes it's conative, to try to do something. You've got to try and capture the sense of the imperfect here. So they began to ask him, Mani, this is the weak aorist infinitive from meno. The normal ending is psi. You get a vowel gradation because it's aorist, but because it's a liquid verb, the sigma isn't there. It's original menesi. So you get mani. This is the aorist infinitive of a liquid verb. So they began to ask him to remain para-autois, beside them or with them. Kai emanen, aorist from meno, and he remained there for 2 days. Kai polo pleus epistusan. Now that pleus there, the normal word is pleones for the nominative form, the nominative plural from pleon, more, comparative of polus, many, of polu, and so on. What happens here is this is an alternate form. The nu has disappeared, and then you get a contraction of the O and the E into an U. So although that looks like accusative plural or something, it is actually nominative. So this is actually a nominative plural. It's happening because the nu is being elided here, and you get a contraction. So that's a little bit tricky. Polo is adverbial. So more, polo by much, believed on account of his word. So a great number more believed on account of his word. Te, this little connective here, and they were saying to the woman that, inverted commas, no longer do we believe dia san lalian, on account of your, well, this could be slightly pejorative here. You can say on account of your story, your word, but lalio, certainly in classical Greek, has more of the sense of babble. So it's not on a, we no longer believe because of what you've been going on about. For we ourselves, it's the autoi for emphatic here, for we ourselves eke koamen, this is the perfect from akuo, it's in another irregular verb, perfect from akuo, for we ourselves have heard and we know that this man is truly, adverb, the Saviour of the world. The next little pericope is the healing of the official's son, and this does have equivalent stories in the synoptic gospels in Matthew and Luke. After 2 days, he came out from there, eke then, that's eke there plus that then, that old ablative root, old ablative ending. He came out from there into Galilee. For Jesus himself bore witness, erst, that a prophet, uk eke, does not have timain honour, ente idia patridi, in his own homeland. When therefore he came into Galilee, the Galileans received him, erst from Decamai. Now this is a perfect participle from horao. You can sort of just make out the horao, the root of the horao here. It's another irregular verb, horao, I see, opsomai, adon, hioraka. So this is the perfect participle here. Having seen, panta, all things, hossa, as many as, he did in Jerusalem at the feast, or in the feast, for they themselves went to the feast. Estan hioten. Therefore, or then, he came palin again, or possibly back, into Cana of Galilee, where he had made, it's erst, where he made the water, understand, into wine. And there was, 'tis a certain basilikos. Now this is a fairly vague word. You can see it's connected with the word for king. It's generally translated as official, but it may have the implication that this official was connected with the royal family there, with the king, with Herod. There was a certain, well, I'll just say official here, but just beware, it's got this basilikos, this idea of connection with royalty, who, so that's of whom, so it's relative pronoun. There was a certain official of whom the son, so whose son, asthene. Now this is from astheneo, this is the imperfect, was sick in Capernaum. Hutos, this man, this is this basilikos, having heard that Jesus had come from Hako, it's present in form, perfect in meaning, so had come from, in fact it would be has come, but we'd probably put it in the pluperfect in English, had come from Judea into Galilee. Abaelthen, he went to him, and erota, he asked, that's that erotao again with a alpha contract verb, he asked him, hina, that, here, this is this use of hina, that, katabai. Now this is from katabino, this is the aorist subjunctive, from katabino, to go down, in order that he might go down, and iasetai, this is again this is from iaamai, is the verb, iaamai, it's a deponent middle, this is the aorist subjunctive, that he might go down and that he might heal his son. For we get a change of subject here. The subject of amelen is the huion, is the son. It's a bit of an abrupt change of subject. This is from mellow. It's an irregular imperfect. It's not MLO, it's mellow. I'm about to, but the imperfect has a funny augment. It's not the usual just epsilon. It's got an eta here, which is hard to explain because there was never an MLO in earlier Greek. It was always mellow, and it normally takes a future infinitive, and here it's taking a present infinitive. So this is a slightly irregular form. So for he was about apothneskein, to die, that is the Son. Apen un, Jesus therefore said to him, Aean me, unless, now that's a good idiom just to remember, it's a plus an plus me, except that, so unless takes a subjunctive, idate, you see signs, and terata, this is from teras, third declension noun, neuter noun I think, so unless you see signs and wonders, if you're looking this one up, it's teras, teratos. Ume, that's strong negative plus the subjunctive. In no way will you lot believe. This is aorist subjunctive after ume. It's a very strong negative. You will in no way will you believe. Hobasilikos, the official, says, historic present, to him, O Lord, katabathi. Now this is the imperative, again it's slightly irregular here. This is the imperative from katabino, aorist imperative. Come down before apothnein, before paidion mu, my child dies. Come down before my child dies. Jesus says to him, Paruu, go, your son, say, lives. This is from sao, it's a contracted alpha verb, your son is alive. The man believed, and it takes a dative, the word, which Jesus said to him, and he went off. And ade, as soon as, now this is a genitive absolute here, so immediately when he going down, so this is katabino again, so as soon as he went down, that is he went back home again, his servants, hoop and tersan, from hoop and tao, to meet with, met with him. This is probably not good. Classical Greek would have actually put this all into the dative, agreeing with auto, whereas this Greek has turned this into a genitive absolute, and then it's had used auto here to refer to him again, so it's much easier Greek than you'd expect to get in classical Greek. So as soon as he had gone down, his servants met with him, saying that, inverted commas, saying that his son lives. So it's not hoti recitative here, it's just, this is what they said. They said that his son is alive. Eputhetot, this is from the verb punthanamai. Punthanamai. This is an interesting verb. We get a nasal infix here. The an is that iterative form that you get. Take all that out plus the endings, and you're left with the stem, which is puth, and that's the root for the aorist. So this is an aorist, strong aorist middle. Punthanamai has got a range of meanings, but it can mean to inquire, which it does here. So therefore he asked or inquired as the hour, from them the hour, in which, it's feminine agreeing with horror. Esken, this is idiomatic here. Komsos actually means well dressed, but this becomes a later New Testament idiom, and I think it's probably only here in the New Testament. I might be wrong there, but it's not used in classical Greek. So the idiom is eko komsoteron, and it means I am better. I am better, so or recovered. So he inquired therefore the hour from them in which he had recovered. Esken from echo. So the idiom is echo komsoteron, I am feeling better, or I have recovered. Apan, therefore they said to him, Ecthes. Now you also get just kthes for yesterday, but this is slightly different here, so it's the same meaning though. Ecthes, yesterday, at the 7th hour, hopuretos, the fever, departed from him. The father therefore knew that in that hour, that it, understand, it was. So it was in that hour in which Jesus said to him, Your son lives. And he himself believed, and his whole house. This again was the subject here. So Jesus did, or performed, again, this deuteron semeon, this second sign, having come from Judea into Galilee. And of course in John there were no miracles. The miracles are all described in terms using this word semeon, a sign. And that is the end of chapter 4.